Alright, so here's our next one. So I just shuffled up. So we've got a Resculpt, Staff of Titania, Mystic Remora, Underworld Breach, Enthusiastic Mechanaut, a Misty Rainforest, and a Shimmermere. This is bad. This is 7 kinds of bad. No turn 1, turn 2 Jhoira, no rocks, no real form of acceleration. I say real form. We're getting 1 land. Our cheapest creature costs 2 color pips, and this costs 2 with an equip of 3. You're not going anywhere. Sorry. Even if you look at your draw, Dragon Rage Channeler, yeah, not progressing us in any sort of direction that we want to be taking. Okay? Alright, so, yep. Now, remember with the London, if memory serves, your next 7 is free. Alright. Alright, so here's our next 7. Talisman of Creativity, Lion's Eye Diamond, Conjurer's Bauble, Island, Ristic, Reshape, Chromatic Star. Alright, so interesting. Why do I say interesting? Well, we do have some great artifacts. We do have a tiny bit of acceleration. Chromatic Stars, a recent addition that I was hoping to see. But the problem with it is we have to put something into it to get something out of it. That's why I'm always a little leery of the stars and the spheres. Reshape, not bad, but we don't have great sack fodder. We do have 1 island and then the Talisman of Creativity, but if we were looking at our draw, yeah, see, Swan Song. You can't always depend on the draw. That's why I keep showing you guys. You cannot depend on it. You gotta make it with what you get. So again, first hand, Garbo. This hand, Garbo. We do not want this. So we're now going to go down to 6. Yeah, there's a reason I don't pick up the entire deck to shuffle it that first time, is because if you look, it's massive. It's double sleeved. I'm not trying to be here all day shuffling. Alright, so remember now we're going down to 6. 1, 2. Bergie, Dockside, Prismatic Vista, Merchant Scroll, Talisman again, Transplant, and a Mountain. Alright, so. Deceptive. Very, very deceptive. It does help us. It does. Out of all of them, I don't see... Yeah, no, we want to keep Bergie because Bergie's acceleration. We would want to keep the Talisman. We want to keep the 2 lands because we need to get to blue pretty fast. So that leaves us with Merchant Scroll, Dockside, and Transplant being our odd guys out. So we know we want these 4 for sure. Alright, so you're going to hear us talk about in Discord where you want to aggressively mulligan. So technically, there's several criteria. Is this card that you pick going to be something you wish you had later? Alright, we know that Dockside is pretty much the only card that does what it does. So, pretty sure that's probably one of the keeps. Transplant Theorist, we have Dragon Rage Channeler, we have Riddlesmith, we have other things that help us do this. But But this is one of those things that I wanted to test because guess what? This was meant to pair with this. Drop in like 6 treasures and then all of a sudden you get to do this 6 times. Think about that. Assuming that you're playing against your opponent, Dockside coming in is going to trigger this for however many treasures you make. That's a lot of card draw. It's a lot of card, or I say card draw. It's a lot of looting. This is only going to get us an instant. Great, but this is going to eat up a turn cycle. This we can cast before we get Jhoira, especially if there's a prime opportunity to utilize Dockside. So for the sake of, this is going to be our bottom. And I'm going to try and run with this 6. Alright. So, let's see here. I literally have no turn 1 plays, so your plays are going to be a little slower. But that's okay, it just depends on what we draw. Words of Wind, Jiminy Christmas. Okay. Definitely not what you want to see on your first draw, but that's okay. That just means it's going to be in our hand for a little while. Alright, so first things first. We don't have any turn 1s. We're going to go ahead and fight through. I say fight, you're not really fighting anything, but Prismatic Vista. We don't have a turn 1 play, so you're just going to sit on it. Turn before yours. Before yours. We'll eat it and go find an Island. Because remember, we already have the 1 mountain that we have in the deck, so we need a Island. Is it a land? Isn't it a land? Is it a land? I know. Fun with words. Okay, so we know we're getting the island. We know we've lost a life. It's going to put us 39. Assuming they took pity on us and we didn't get smacked with something like a Ragavan on turn 1 from somebody being extra. Alright, so there's that, there's that, there's that. Turn 2. Alright, so turn 2, your big play here is definitely, yeah. So we got a Chain of Vapor. Our big play here, get down a mountain, get to the Talisman. We kind of want to start moving. We need to start moving. Alright. So if we need to interact with something, we do have Chain of Vapor now, but for the most part, not going to be trying to do that. Okay. So now we're up to turn 3. This is not a great feeling, not a great place to be in, but we're still trying. Alright, Gitaxian Probe. Did not get any more land, so that's going to be 2 life, putting us 37. Boom, first thing we want to do, look at somebody's hand, draw a card, Cavern of Souls. Beautiful, beautiful. Turn 3, beautiful. Cavern of Souls, name Artificer. Now, see, here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. So this is now turn 3. Turn 3. We could go into Theorist. Because by turn 4, I imagine we're going to want to cast Dockside. Dockside is not going to trigger Jhoira. It is going to trigger Transplant Theorist. So I understand you're going to have to read the table, and I understand you're going to find yourself, you're going to be asking yourself these questions. What is the better play? How do we want to do it? I've already named Artificer with the Cavern of Souls, so this can't be countered. Jhoira can't be countered when that comes around. So if you need a little bit of wiggle room, you do have it. For the sake of, I want to see how this plays out, I'm going to say Transplant Theorist pass. This is my turn 3, now going into turn 4. Assuming it makes it back around to you and you haven't had to do anything. Well, you really can't because we don't have anything. Untap, upkeep, draw. Alright, Chromatic Star. Alright, this is not too bad, not too shabby. But you want to evaluate. So this is our turn 4. I'm going to assume, and this is just for the sake of the goldfishing, I'm assuming by turn 4 there's at least 4 artifacts on the board. Okay? It's more likely in practice it'll probably be 5 or 6. I'm going to assume 4. So at that point, yes, I'm going to want to drop Dockside. I want to make 4 treasures, of which, of course, I don't have my tokens, like, right in front of me. Where'd that stack go? Not that. Okay, well, we're going to say I make 4 treasures, but here's the thing. Now, Transplant Theorist kicks in, so we're going to draw, resculpt. I would argue not as good as Chain of Vapor, because Chain of Vapor does more for us, so we're going to pitch that to itself. Pact of Negation. This is helpful. We have no protection for other pieces, so I am going to take it. But we're going to have to pitch something. Yeah, we're going to have to pitch Bergie. Alright, so 2 more treasures. Chrome Mox. Yeah, we're going to take that over the Chromatic Star. And then Merchant Scroll. Hey, that looks super familiar. I would argue we're in a good enough spot. We don't need it, so I'm going to pass on that. Alright. So remember, that did not require us cracking the treasures. That just required them entering the battlefield. So now, I still have 4 mana. I still have 4 treasures. Yeah, I want to go ahead and crack all 4 treasures and cast Jhoira. And then I do want to do Chrome Mox. Exiling the Chain of Vapor. I know. It's just where we find ourselves here. And that's going to trigger Jhoira and draw us a card. Swan Song, okay. Trigger Transplant Theorist, draw us a card, and we can discard. I mean, I've got Pact of Negation and Swan Song both in my hand. Yeah, I'll let it go. So yeah, this is a really crappy place to be in, guys. Like this feels bad. This feels all sorts of bad. I looked at a ton of cards, and I still feel like, I don't have the movement. So it's at this point, I mean, you could pact yourself out. You could, try and move on to the next game. But it's turn 4, so we still have land open. Let's go ahead and play it out. Let's go ahead and see what our next turn is. So turn 5. Moving to turn 5. Okay, transmute artifact. Okay. Yeah, I mean... See, because Chrome Mox can't do anything with Words of Wind. So let's go ahead, tap that, and tap the island, and transmute artifact. So we're going to go ahead and transmute the Chrome Mox. Some might say it's a bad play. I understand. Since it's the same CMC, we'll grab Mox Amber. You could have grabbed Mox Opal as well, because we do have 3 artifacts. Or we would have 3 artifacts at that point. But here's the other nice thing. Even though we don't get the draw off of Jhoira, we do get to loot off of Transplant Theorist. Engineered Explosives. That's going to help us keep moving. I hate to do it, but it's going to have to be Swan Song. Engineered Explosives. I'm just going to drop it as is. Draw off of Jhoira. Gives us Reshape. Transplant Theorist. Draw Mox Diamond. We don't have a land. Don't have a land. Sadly, it's got to go. And oh, I do. Shit. Yeah, see, this is where some things would come in very handy. Because we do have Words of Wind, but I don't have any more blue mana. Well, I do. I have these two, but I just drew reshape, so it would take both of them to get me into an artifact that I could use. So, I mean, we may have to do that. Tap this, take 1, 2 blue, reshape. We're going to reshape. No, I like holding up the engineered explosives, so we're going to do it to the Talisman of Creativity, and we're going to go after Mox Opal. Well, you could do Mox Opal, you could do Mana Crypt. It really just depends on, you know, where you feel you are. Now, see, here's the thing. We're kind of dirtling at the moment. But remember, we're not going to get the draw effect off of Jhoira because we reshaped into Mox Opal. We're not going to get it. We are, however, we're not going to get the draw for Jhoira. We are, however, going to get the Transplant Theorist. So, reveal Volcanic Island. See, I don't really feel like I need a land at this point. I just need a clear path. So, yeah, I'm going to pitch that to itself. Now, see, you might get a little ahead of yourself here. You might want to try and get out Words of Wind right now. I would not recommend it. I would have to see what my draw is. So we're turn 5 now, moving to turn 6. I would untap. Let's see what that draw is. City Brass. Beautiful. I would rather have that because that's easier to make blue with. Alright. And we also don't have an artifact to cast either. So, let's see here. We have an artifact we'd want to put back. Oh, no, I don't think it says artifact. I think it says card. Yeah. I mean, is there anything here I'd really want to put back? I would argue no. So yeah, I didn't draw... I drew the land, which, yes, the land was helpful, but it did not do what I needed to do. So I would be very hesitant to try and do Words of Wind. I would have to probably take another turn rotation, assuming it even made it this far. Yeah, see? Land. Not helpful. 8. Force of Will. Not as helpful. Another rotation. Land. Not as helpful. Another rotation. Lotus Petal. There it is. Assuming you've made it this far, I mean, at this point, you can do Words of Wind, Lotus Petal, start bouncing. But this is like turn 8, turn 9. Turn 9, if memory serves me correctly. This is a horrible feels bad. It's just things like this that you guys want to be aware of. Yeah, we can essentially soft lock the board, but then, you know, we're going to start drawing in things. Okay, there's Trinket Mage, there's Gamble. Okay, so some movement. Paradoxical Outcome. All right. Not too bad at that point, but we only have, like, this. I mean, we would not have necessarily had to sack Lotus Petal. So, I mean, we would have it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts. I mean, yeah, by the time we get to Paradoxical Outcome, that's another 3 turns. Like, this is just lots of feels bad, man. I mean, the argument could be made that Chain of Vapor maybe wasn't the best play. Maybe we should have sacked or given up the Words of Wind. Maybe I was trying to be too greedy with that just because I was playing off of what I had in hand. But, you know, sometimes that's the card you're dealt, and that's the path you got to take.